celebrating and showcasing extraordinary people who are doing incredible things to make our world a better place. This is Close-Up Television. I'm your host, Jim Masters, and thanks for joining us. On today's episode, we celebrate Carol Collins. Carol is a consciously aware trance channel and the Pittsburgh Medium. She likes to say she is the conduit for the teaching of source guidance. After incorporating a daily practice of silent meditation, her abilities came about spontaneously in the spring of 2019, initially with spelling words in the air, with her face identical to Esther Hicks. Unlike Esther, Carol channels a council of teachers and healers that prefer the name Jeshua. Through her, they teach 4 pillars of learning and is what they call the essential material. They combine the power of positivity with natural healing techniques, and together, it has become the most powerful teaching on law of attraction in the world today. Jeshua wrote 11 books through her in 2021, the first of which will be on shelves in the summer of this year. Really fascinating. Now, after a brief hello to Carol Collins, the remainder of this close-up television interview will be trans-channeled, and I'll be interviewing the Jeshua Collective. Carol, thanks so much for joining us, coming all the way out from Pittsburgh here to the coast to join us at Close-Up Television. I've been fascinated by your story, and this is going to be really inspiring and empowering for our viewers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You know, channeling sounds really like a unique ability. When did you realize you had this ability, and how did it develop? What inspired you along the way?
Well, I like to say this. It wasn't a lot of inspiration. It was a lot of depression.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, as a lot of people, I went through a very tumultuous relationship, went downhill. It took a long time for it to go downhill, and that's what made it more tumultuous than it needed to be.
Yeah.
And then I just picked up and moved out of state and then fell apart. But when I fell apart, it was solo. It was isolation is what I did. And I continued working. I continued, you know, moving about and doing the things that I did. But small things didn't change, but bigger things did. I didn't cook a meal for a year. I ate small things and lost a lot of weight. But I curled up and I just sat home and I just ruminated a lot. And one thing that I did is I found meditation. And I began to meditate. Now, the story of how I found meditation, I think Yeshua is going to bring some of that through, but an essential element of life that I know now is emotional balance. And it can either tip the scale towards negative emotion, you can tip the scale to positive emotion, but if you can stay in that sweet spot of balance, then you have a better chance of having an easier time getting through traumatic experiences, you know, bad day included.
Yes, right.
So I found meditation. And I had this resonance with it, and I stuck with it day after day after day after day, very small increments of silent meditation. And one of the things that I had heard early on was you don't have time to not do it. And for some reason, that just stuck. It stuck clean and clear. And I did it every day. 9 months later, as I'm in meditation, my face began to move around 4 months into meditation. It was this soft swirling that was peaceful, a peaceful swirling, shifting. And 9 months into it, the swirling stopped on cue as the music stopped. And then my head turned to the left, turned to the right, turned to the left, and then began spelling words in cursive in the air. I like to say it was nose spelling. And it was intelligence coming through, not random words. It was who the guides are, what the world is all about, why we have physical life, what my purpose is, what they would like to teach through me, who they are, and then a lot of personal information that came through. And it was word by word by word by word that I would stop and I would write down. That continued for six or 7 weeks. And then one morning they simply said, "Carol, can we use your voice?" And I said, "Yes, how do we do that?" And they said, "Just begin talking." So I opened up with, "Hi, my name is," and then words just started flowing. And I could feel my mouth being moved. I could feel, it's a strange sensation to describe, but I felt my mouth being moved and words flowing that I had not prepared to say. And I've been doing that ever since. That was March 20th, 2019.
Is that the Esther Hicks connection? Was that then?
I don't have a connection to Esther Hicks, but it is very interesting to me that my abilities surfaced in the same way that hers did, with nose spelling. after meditation, after about 9 months of meditation. So it's a constant question that I have of my whole guide team, my non-physical spiritual teachers, and I just say, what is that connection?
Now, when that was happening, were you nervous? Were you scared?
Never.
Were you excited? Were you happy? Was it something that was overwhelming for you when you realized these abilities?
Was, I just say it's the best day ever.
The best day ever.
You know, my birthday is in December, but I just say March is like, it's like my second birthday. It's the day that I feel that I was awakened. I think the spiritual world would say that's my awakening, the day that I was spontaneously moving into position to become a channel. So in the beginning it was mouth moving and spelling words in the air with my nose, and pages and pages, notebooks full of information that would come through. And it was something that I enjoyed doing. I was still depressed, so I was still in the receiving mode in the phase of life that I was in, and I think that helped me, because there's some people that say, well, you have to raise your vibration, you have to be very uplifted and positive in order to receive, otherwise you can't get anything. And I never had that thought. I wasn't having conversations with people that would influence me badly or poorly on what my abilities were. I just knew whole and complete. There was a best friend in the making, and one that I could not see, and one that was always positive, always uplifting, always helpful, always complimentary, always wanting to have conversation, and always giving me more and giving me more and giving me more. No matter what question I asked on any topic, no matter how many times I asked the same or similar questions, there was a beautiful confluence of, we love you so much, Carol. And
were you lacking that in your day-to-day life with the people that you knew?
Yeah, I had isolated myself to a pretty strong degree, just trying to cope and regain my own balance in life and where I was going, what I was doing. And they did become my I just say my non-physical best friends. And that lasted for, you know, a year of where I had this constant interaction with them. And then I began to tell people what was happening. I did tell my family and close friends, but nobody else. And after about a year, then I started branching out and telling people, and learning that there are a number of channelers in the world. I only knew of two, Edgar Cayce and Esther Hicks. I wasn't a spiritual person or a religious person, but I did grow up Catholic, and so I had a lot of things that had to be undone, heaven and hell, good and bad, and guilt tendencies that are kind of pushed on you, regular way of life. And I had a lot of conversations about how the world works, why we're here, how you create a bad mood and how you can create a good mood, and how you can move yourself from feeling bad into feeling good, and then better and better and better. And then along the way, they said, Carol, this is what we're going to teach. Emotional balance. We want to teach people how their thoughts guide them, and emotions guide them too often. And we want to teach people how to use their thought pattern, their thinking pattern, their intelligent pattern, and leave the emotional patterns behind so that they can think more clearly. And that was, the better way to put it is, it was the beautiful coming together of where I was in my own educational journey, my own intellectual journey. I was studying leadership, and that was my path, was to teach leadership development. And when they came through and said, we want to teach emotional balance, you know, all the questions that you can imagine. Was I on the right path? Was I hearing you before? Are you know, picking up where I was? Where I was? Were we doing this together? Are you going to teach this, or what's going on here? And they said, just simmer down. We have so much to teach you first. We want to undo some of the beliefs that you have about who spirit beings are, about who the guides are, about, you know, this thing called the veil and the separation between the non-physical dimension and the physical dimension. And they said, let's just have some time where we get to have conversations, and we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to get there, and we are going to teach, and we're 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 hoping to sway the world to really relax its view on emotions and relax the view that they have of their own life. When you love your life story, then you love yourself. And when you love yourself, it's easier to love other people, and that's where we're going. So that's what they do. That's what they teach.
That's fantastic. I mean, did you always want to be a medium? I know you described it as the Pittsburgh Medium, and is that the correct term, medium? A lot of times people they put it all into one ball of wax: psychic, medium, channeler. They always picture the person with a crystal ball. Tell me about my past uncle or what have you. It's a totally different thing than the way it's always portrayed. Tell us from your perspective the work of a medium and how you work through that.
Well, the Pittsburgh Medium is a title that they asked me to use, and I was not comfortable with it. I do mediumship work, but as a channeler, and especially a channeler that has been taught about the transition and how we make our way between the physical realm and the non-physical realm, and what they call consciousness studies or evolved beings and why we're having this physical life. I love those studies. I wasn't anybody that was wanting to be psychic or clairvoyant or a medium. I didn't know what a channeler was. I wasn't somebody that was studying. I didn't do psychic fairs or mediumship events. I didn't do any of that. I just simply fell apart and then found meditation. And in meditation, I just had a moment to not fear the future. And I had a moment of respite. I had a moment of just relaxation. And I found that probably 30 days, I felt emotionally different. 60 days, I had people making comments to me, what's going on with you? You just seem happier. What's going on? 90 days, I felt like a different person emotionally. And I think that's why I stuck with it. 4 months, my face started moving. 5 or 6 months, my face was moving a lot. And I just said to myself, is this the way meditation is supposed to be? Am I supposed to be feeling something? Or is this some kind of communication that I'm not understanding? I did have aunts, uncles, grandparents in the, in the spirit world, but had never understood how people connected with them. I did believe that some people do, so I'm not unaware that there were mediums and psychics and tarot readers and all those kind of things in the world, but channeling was not something that I was really aware of. I had an awareness of Edgar Cayce and then became aware of Esther Hicks. Esther is the one that introduced me to meditation, but Abraham, through Esther, introduced me to meditation, and it changed my life. It brought my abilities to the surface. So as far as what I do, I connect people with loved ones, absolute, and that is what Jeshua calls a medium. But I bring my awareness down. The air feels a little thicker. Sometimes it feels like there's cotton in my ears, and then it's there for a minute, and then it subsides, and then the guides come through and they introduce themselves and they have a conversation with people. I can hear the conversation, but I don't generally remember the conversation for too long.
So when you hear the conversation, does it need to be captured and saved in some way because it is fleeting and fading?
Yes. Yes. When I'm doing my own work with them, it's usually on video or with automatic writing. But when I give readings, I tell people you are allowed to record, but definitely take notes. The information comes swift. There's a lot of it. They do what they call structured guidance. They say A, B, C, and D, or 1, 2, 3, 4. They tell you what to do and when and for how long, and if you do it this way and if you do it that way, what the different outcomes will be. And that's kind of information that you don't want to miss or forget. And it's easy. There's a lot of information that comes through, and so I say, keep me on speed dial, but also keep your recorder close at hand.
Going close at hand. We've heard of Teresa Caputo, of course, the Long Island medium. Are you similar to what she does in terms of the work itself, or totally different direction?
Not in a different direction, similar in this regard. I hear voices in my mind. Some of those voices are male and female. Some of the voices sound a little bit like a knowing, not a true voice, but otherwise male and female. I see images in my mind, clear. I have what some people call like a movie screen or a tunnel where it seems like I'm, following a very narrow scope. I have physical sensations that are very strong, and then I have the ability to channel. So moving into a trance state is, for me, it's an easy breath. It's just taking a breath in a different way, and I feel the air around me change, and then now Jeshua just comes through and starts talking out loud. So I think the images and sensations are strong, the voices. If I'm driving in the car, I'm having conversations.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting at the dining room table and my daughters say, Mom, who are you talking to? And I'm just staring off into space, and they know that I'm not, just staring off into space. I'm having a conversation with someone. So it is two-way dialogue. It's back and forth conversation. Teresa has that. She has the images and sensations, the knowing.
I was going to say, as far as the knowing and the sensations and the images, when you're at the table with your daughters and you're talking to someone, is it something where internally you're visualizing the someone, or how do you differentiate that from, for our viewers following along, that from you just talking to yourself?
Yeah. There's a different voice. When it's the collective, known as Jeshua, then it's a voice. When it's an individual being, an individual person, then I have a face along with a different voice. So it's like a face comes in this way, slides in from the left or slides in from the right. On occasion, there's one kind of lower on each corner, but generally they're on, it's like if you draw a line down the middle and split it this way and this way. I have images that are about right here in my field of view and down here, and then over here and down here. Now when my own spirit guide comes in, then he's up here. And I say he because he uses the name James. And when other spiritual teachers come through, they usually start from further out on the left and then slide in. I can see it's like words float in. There's a feeling, a sensation of words floating in. I can see the words or I hear the voice. So in my mind's eye, I have the ability to have two-way conversation. But so many times I just say, let's just talk out loud. And then I'm talking out loud, they're talking out loud. How do I know the difference? Because I don't know what they're going to say. So it's very strange. If you were a fly on the wall in my home, you would hear both halves of a conversation or sometimes one half of the conversation, but I'm getting both halves.
Do they reflect, in terms of what they're saying to and through you, do they reflect what's happening to you? Is it reflecting what's happening to Carol at that time? The messages and the information that you receive tie always into what's happening to Carol and Carol's life, or could they be completely devoid of any of what's happening in Carol's life? These are just words and messages and thoughts that are coming your way that aren't tied to an event.
Yeah, they're not random. It is personal dialogue. I'm not tuning into voices and overhearing a good thought and then sharing it. I'm asking a question, or they're saying, we'd like to have some teaching moments with you today, or let's talk about this current event, or you got some things going on with your family, or your friend really needs a phone call. He or she's having, kind of a rough morning, and it would really brighten their whole day if you just give them a quick phone call. So it's an intelligent being that I'm connected to, but it's personal conversation, guidance. It's how the worlds work. It's, some existential kind of things, but it's also, today's a good day just to sit home. There's a lot of traffic on your usual route to wherever you're going to go. And there's been times where I said, well, I really got to get this done. Just come with me. And I get out there and there's traffic. And I could have done that errand on another day and just sat home and did something, a video or book writing or something like that. But they know what's going on, past, present, and future. And they prove it to me left and right.
How do we identify when it's Carol and when it's the Jeshua Collective, who it is we are speaking to at that time? Is there something that triggers, something that happens?
I don't know what the trigger is. They identify themselves when they come through. I feel The energy, the air. I feel the energy.
Yeah.
Some people say I feel the energies of. I say I feel that the air changes. It becomes thicker. Sometimes it becomes a little warmer.
Yeah.
But generally right here around my jaw and my neck. And then they introduce themselves. So they always say, we never want to appear as though we're intruding or that we're inserting ourselves. We always identify who we are, and then we introduce the topic or we convey information. I love when they do. So when I have friends over or family over and we're just having, human to human personal conversation, the gang will just jump through and say, well, we have something to say on that. And people that are understanding what I do, they're very open to it, and they say, well, we were hoping that you would show up. Or they walk in the door, and I've had people say hello to them before they say hello to me, which is also fun.
Now, the they and the them, are they and them of the collective the same grouping all the time? Are they different images and visualizations and people that sort of come into your life? Meaning, is the collective the same group, cast of characters, that come in every time that they appear, that they show up, make themselves known? Or does it change? Are there new people coming in, others leaving? What does the collective look like to you?
Well, I can tell you what they've told me. They say we are a collection of beings. We're a council of beings that your highest guide has brought together. And as a group of beings, we were hand identified. We formed together. We have an energy cord or an energy bond around us so that when we have conversations, we draw from each other. Yeah. And then we create an energy mechanism to convey information interdimensionally, and we insert intelligence. An intelligent conveyance of knowledge is what they say. It's a fancy way of saying, well, we just work our magic and then send information through the dimensions, but we do it as a collective. So there are a number of beings. Sometimes they use the word entities. Yeah. They've all lived many, many, many lives. They say we are teachers. In this plane of existence where we are teachers. And so that's what we do through you, Carol, when they're talking to me. I feel them in the room, so I know that they want to have a conversation with you. But they will introduce themselves for sure.
Are there some of the beings more dominant than others? Are there some that reappear and they're always the more dominant, the more outspoken, more expressive, and others more reserved and will say incredible things, but in a more tempered way than others that might be just more direct and more dominant? Kind of like people are in our everyday lives?
Personalities come through. Personalities. There are times where different energies come through, and I feel heavier. I feel like I am bigger in stature, or I feel like I'm a larger person, and I feel more masculine. There's other times where I feel very thin and not frail, but thin and delicate. That's a good word. I feel a deeper voice coming through or a soft voice coming through, masculine energies and feminine energies. Sometimes they give themselves a name and other times they don't. I've had one being come through and they say, I just want you to call me I am. Other people call me Viwamis. Others have called me the guide. But it's a group or a council or a collective. They said we like collective best because we are collective.
Right.
Most of the time, they're all together, and then they take turns with what they want to say. So it's like a panel. That's a good way to put it. It's like a panel, and they all have some beautiful thing to say. They don't dominate the room, one or the other, but if one is on point to teach, then they do it, and they do it fully, and then someone steps in and do their part, and it's a conveyance of information.
Is there a certain amount of beings in the collective, or does that change as well? How many would you say are actually a part of the collective?
That's a good question. They've told me there's somewhere around 300 to 400.
Wow.
When they're all in the room, but otherwise it's somewhere between 5 and 6.
Do you have experiences where you're witness to all of them at the same time in the room before you?
when they identify themselves as Yeshua, and sometimes they have me look up and they give me kind of like this, the sign of the infinity sign, and I just feel the infinity sign moving above me, I know that that is the full group of beings. Otherwise, they come through and they'll identify what master teacher they are and what they're teaching on that day or what they want to talk about. And when there's more of them, they'll say James to speak, Seth to speak, Elohim to speak, Yeshua to speak, and they'll come, one right after the other. But when it's the whole collective, I don't feel individual beings.
Right.
I feel it's like this soft resonance, and I feel the air a little bit different, but I don't feel necessarily that there's I don't feel like there's a crowded room.
Right.
But I do feel a change in the air around me.
The air. You say that Yeshua teaches through you. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. What they say is they position my mind to sit still and to allow them to ask the mind to say certain words at a certain pace. And then I hear them teach. So through me seems like a good way to describe it. I say they borrow my voice. I like that one too. And when they teach, it is a subject of their choosing with no preparation. And then they do it fully, answer questions on the spot, which is always fun. And they also answer thoroughly and to the satisfaction of everybody that's ever been there. They say there's no question that's off limits, but there are questions that need more time than others. So in limited amounts of time, they will hand select people and draw their questions forward. Generally, one question answers a lot of questions. They go into a good amount of detail to make sure that one question hits the hearts of many.
So are they also responsive and reflective of what's going on in our society, what's going on in the world, the things that we're dealing with as a collective society, pandemics and war and societal issues? Do they give messages and information that is tied to things of that size and scope, or is it much more directed to just day-to-day living, law of attraction, things of that nature? How does it work?
For me, it's no question is off limits.
No question is
So
off limits. Yeah.
they will come through undoubtedly, but they have many things that they need to say, and there's things that they want to say, and then there's things that people want to hear. And then there's things that they say your parent soul being or your direct upline that is guiding you, helping you to have a specific lifetime, trying to keep you on path to get some intentions done. That being sometimes has something that they want to say to guide people. I love when they come through and help parents. You have 3 children, and they're all a little bit different. This one needs this kind of parenting. These 2, very similar parenting, but don't group them all don't put them all in one basket, because this one needs a little bit different kind of parenting. Otherwise, they might sway from what they're trying to accomplish in this lifetime. I love when that comes through, because you reach children, and you're able to guide people to be on the right path and to be independent, if that's what one of their purposes is supposed to be. So they talk about world events, how to think the better thought on the world events, why the world events are coming to fruition, how long it's going to be here or why, if that conversation comes into play. They talk about day-to-day life and past lives, past life activation, the difference between that and past life regression, what psychedelic drugs can do for you and how it can help or harm you in trying to convey or communicate with the spirit realm, where you're supposed to be at certain points in your life, why gifts magnify as you get a little bit older and then start to diminish. The opportunities are endless on what they have to say. They are, I just like to say, all-knowing, all-powerful, past, present, and future.
Are any of them ever people that have been in your life, relatives, family members, friends, people that you've known? Is the collective ever including people that you've actually been involved with in your life?
They're in addition to.
They're in addition to.
So both my parents are in spirit, my grandparents are all in spirit. I have cousins, aunts, and uncles. I have a best friend that's in spirit, and they do come through. They have conversations. I see my father right here, and my mother comes right here. I have sensations on my body. So when my lower legs tingle versus my thighs versus my arms versus my abdomen versus my back versus under my chin, I always know it's a specific person coming in, somebody that I know that is, has passed on. And it's just like a little indicator. It's like, oh, hello. And then we have a conversation. So that's one of the things that they do, is they teach people how to bring their abilities to the surface, and they test them. They give them homework assignments and a specific way to write their practice sessions in a logbook, and to keep their practice sessions and their meditation going in a way that's going to be productive and conducive to accuracy. So they train people through me, which is really fun for me, how to have this clean, clear ability to not only connect with the spirit realm or the guide realm, but also to, I guess the best way to describe it is become an interpreter or a spirit communicator. I think interpreter is probably a better word for it. Interpreting the vibrational tones that come through, that have intelligence weaved in, that have enormous amounts of information to share with the world on how to deal with the world at large, unique situations and en masse. They cover it all.
Now, when you're working with an individual, I know everybody uses the word client. I've never been a fan of the word client. I always think of like account executives and sales and all that stuff. But when you're working with an individual, and the Jeshua Collective comes through, does it tend to be the beings that appear within the collective at that time with that specific individual are the beings that are representative of what that individual is needing in their life at that time? Are the beings that show up for you, through you, for them, for that individual, specific to things that they are needing, craving, have to have in their life? How does that work with the individuals that you're having an opportunity to connect with?
Yeah. So different things happen. The Jeshua Collective is always present. My guide, my own personal non-physical guide or non-physical teachers are part of that collective. When I have a private session with someone, their personal guide and their higher self, they like to say soul being or your upline soul being. I say parent soul being because it just seems like, it's your parent soul being. It's a word that resonates with me. They're always in the room. And they're always having conversations with each other is how they describe it to me. And then someone chooses to speak. So it could be the guide of someone else that chooses to speak. If so, they identify themselves as such. If it is a loved one of that person, they identify themselves. Or if it's Jeshua at large, they identify themselves. So it's, what they say is, there is a conversation that is occurring that you cannot hear. And the result of that conversation is what we say out loud through you. And then we have a two-way dialogue. So I like to tell people ahead of time, as a channeler, I do hear the conversation. I appreciate being the facilitator or the conduit so that you can have a direct conversation with the beings or the people that are influential for you or that you're most concerned about. And so please do act as though you are having a direct conversation with them, because I'm here, but I'm not part of the conversation.
Right, exactly. Or influencing it or dictating it.
Right.
We're talking about channeling, and we use the word trance channeling. Tell us about that. Is somebody going into a trance during it? What is actually happening?
It is. The way that they describe it is if you picture an elevator and you've got 10 floors, but you're starting on the 10th floor, and that's consciously aware of your surroundings.
Right.
Everybody's on that 10th floor. When you have someone that goes into a very deep trance state, they take them from the 10th floor down to about the 5th floor, and then that person appears to be asleep or appears to be not aware of their surroundings, and they speak out loud through that person. they say I'm at like floor 9, so a very light trance state. That's why I feel the air shift. I feel mostly around my neck and jaw. Some people say they get lightheaded. They can feel like this wooziness. I don't use those terms because you can train your mind to do strange things to you. So I just say the energies or the air gets a little different, but I feel a softness come over me, almost like a cascade of energy that kind of flows down. And I feel that initially. I used to feel it the whole time, and now I guess I've acclimated to it. So the shift is quick, and then they just speak out loud. So the trance state is various levels, anywhere from very light, a quick and easy ability to shift into the position, I guess is a good way to describe it, for them to borrow your voice, or if they have to take you into a little bit less awareness of your present surroundings, then they do, and then they speak out loud.
There's something called the essential material, and I find that fascinating in terms of breaking out what that essential material is. Let's talk about what the essential material is, how it's expressed, and is the essential material different for different people, or is it this is the essential material for all of us?
Yeah. Well, they've capitalized it, the essential material, and they said everything falls into 4 categories. Anything anybody needs to know to have a life full of abundance, to have a life that helps you meet what your life intentions were, then it falls into one of 4 categories. So the first is understanding that conscious beings are real. When you pass from this world, there is a place that you go in the afterlife. There is an afterlife. So that's pillar 1, is understanding what I call consciousness studies. Pillar 2, thoughts create things. You design your life by the way you think, by the way you engage with the world, the kind of things that you take in. The world influences you, and you are influenced by it, and it creates your life. The world calls it law of attraction. That's pillar number 2. Pillar 3 is the art of self-healing. There's many people in the world understand the difference between a physical body and an energy body and the chakratic system, and they teach about how all of those things have an interplay and how you can. It's not just holistic healing, it's self-healing. And they teach the lost art of how to use vortex points that are on the body, and holding them, clasping them, moving energy within can undo physical, mental, emotional, behavioral, financial, social behaviors that are not helping you in this life. So that's pillar number 3. Pillar 4 is how to connect with the spirit realm and bring out your abilities, starting with intuition, moving into what they call ocularity. The world calls it clairvoyance and clairsentience and all the other clairs, but the being that teaches that class just says it's ocularity. That's what that entity likes to, the term that they like to use. And then that the majority of people will stop at excellence in clairvoyance, which means it comes in swift and clear. Their accuracy is very good. They're validated often. They have an understanding, two-way dialogue within their, within the mind. They can hear it crystal clear. But there is another ability that comes after that, and that's becoming someone who can shift into a trance state and receive conversation just as they would with clairvoyance, with ocularity. But when you shift into that trance state, then they can teach the mind to allow them to borrow the voice, and then they get to say what they want to say, how they want to say it, at the pace that needs to be said, because they do speed up or slow down. Slowing down and speeding up is always something that they invoke, and the words are just pure.
Yeah.
There's never discrimination.
Right.
There's never criticism or demanding. They're positive influencers on individual lives and about the world at large.
All these pillars that you're talking about, these 4 essential material pillars, there have to be all 4, right? You can't be lacking in one. You can't have 2 and not the other 2, or you can have 3 and not the 4th. They all play off each other beautifully, don't they?
They do. They do. Now, people are not always interested in all 4. Some people are law of attraction enthusiasts. Some people are, you know, intuitive studies enthusiasts. Some people are just, you know, the consciousness studies. They just want to know how the worlds work, and, you know, how does this thing called the transition work, and multi-dimensionality, and all of those kind of things. Kind of existential sort of, it's not theory, but theoretical in the way that there's no scientific fact, but there is knowledge there that needs to be conveyed. And other people are just energy workers. They like to call themselves light workers. They work with the chakra system, and they like to work with the light body system, the energy activations that can happen within the body. So some people do have a focus. They say a well-balanced person that will be well-pleased with their life after they make their transition will have had knowledge in all 4 pillars. And through me, they teach all 4. Through some other people, they teach some of that, but they say the unique thing is they teach consciousness, and they teach law of attraction, they teach some of self-healing, and they teach intuitive studies.
Do you have a favorite of the 4 pillars for you? One that you aren't a super enthusiast about?
All of it. Really, it's all of it. I am personally fascinated with vortex points on the body. They are all over the body. They talk about grid work and how activating the grid can stimulate energy within and change your mood, can change patterns of behavior, can change an eye twitch, can change indigestion, can heal the body, and I've seen it work, so I'm fascinated, and I love when they give different positions. Sometimes they just call them sequences. When you do certain sequences for long enough, you can heal yourself from some kind of ailment or bad behavior. I find that fascinating. I love everything about language. I love the idea that emotions don't have to guide you. You can use emotional words, but not invest yourself into the emotion. You can express yourself, but not feel the emotion. And feeling the emotion is the thing that, you know, then you start being guided by your emotions, and then things kind of go off track. So those are probably my favorites, but at the same time, I spend so much time with them. I think I've gotten a lot from day one. My abilities, they've helped to manifest my abilities. So that one just seems like supernatural. You know, it's just everyday occurrence, and I'm very fascinated about consciousness studies and consciousness, where they are, why we're here, this multi-dimension. I think that's a subject that I like to ask a lot of questions on, but I think language is probably my favorite. Power of words, power of positivity, power of words.
You know, self-healing, that's one that I think a lot of people probably maybe in the beginning might struggle with, because especially if they're caretaker types, where they're always running to everybody else, caring for everybody else, so they're not necessarily reflecting the mirror or the light on themselves for that self-care, that self-healing, because they're always making sure everybody else is getting the healing and the care that they need. How does that work for people who are those caretaker types, running to the aid of everybody else's ailments in the world and trying to smooth things out for them, to where they don't take the time to really look into the self-healing for themselves? They put it aside and they say, one day that's what we'll deal with, but not now, because this other person needs healing, and I'm going to help them with that.
Right. I don't have time. Well, you know, self-healing it's multifaceted. Going outside. If you're having a bad day, go outside. You will feel better. Just the fresh air, even if it's raining, the fresh air will be enough of a distraction that if you capitalize on the moment, you will feel better, and then keep going with it. So there's techniques to self-heal the moment, but you know, when you've got a stomach ache, or you know, a grievance with someone, and you just can't get over it, and you ruminate, how do you fix that? Well, you can fix it by having a better thought. So self-healing, the art of self-healing, has a lot of different peace parts to it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much.
Some people confuse self-medicating with self-healing.
Yes.
When self-medicating is just a temporary relief maybe from the symptoms, but does not treat the cause, right?
Right, right. Now, if you take a bubble bath and you call that self-medicating, it's probably not the best way to do it, because the mind does know what medicine is. And if you are needing medicine, then you are reminding yourself that something's wrong, that you're needing medicine. And if you need medicine, something's wrong. So self-medicating to heal yourself, there's juxtaposition there, there's confusion there. So if you say, self-care, or I'm just giving myself some me time, that's a much better way to phrase it. Now, those things can help. Thinking positive thoughts can help. Power of positivity, power of the energy of thought, but also using your energy body. Your energy body. There's two parts to the physical body, energy body. The energy body is filled with a major and a minor set of chakras. So most of the world understands what chakras are, even if they don't know the depth of it. There's some awareness that they're here. Mm-hmm. If you use the chakra system, then you can self-heal yourself from personality traits that aren't serving you, from behaviors that aren't serving you, from indigestion that's not serving you, from common cold that's not helping you to have a good day or a good season. So there's a lot of things that we talk ourselves into, but you can also talk yourself out of it, use that as step one, and then use what you have. You have vortex points all over your own physical body, and you can help with someone else's issues or problems physically. So there's it's a depth of possibilities when you combine language with actionable things like going outside and doing specific things, and then using internal energy. They call it chi or prana. When you use it, how do you use it? Well, you can know it exists, or you can use it. Now, using it could be clasping your two hands together, and this runs the energy between your left and right meridians and your top and bottom meridians. And what does that mean? They talk about it and they teach it, but it creates balance, left, right, top, and bottom. Emotionally, you feel better. You feel more at ease. You feel less constricted. It feels more peaceful on the inside in the moment. Now, when you release it, it's still like it's like the Price is Right wheel. You take it and you push it. Well, that's like doing this. You're pushing it, and then it keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, and then it starts to slow down. So they call it maintenance. Once a day, just sit here for 5 minutes, and you create some energy balance. And if you have energy balance, then emotional balance will come with it.
Law of attraction, we hear so much about that. It's talked about a lot, and probably, something that sometimes it's even a throwaway term if people don't really understand what it is. But it is true that you can and do attract the energy that you put out, if it's positive, if it's negative. If you're always negative, if everything is doom and gloom, if you're always maybe you're just very direct and harsh and whatever it may be, it does come back to you, right? It isn't something where, oh, well, I'll never get wonderful things happening to me no matter how positive I am, or I can be as negative as I want because it doesn't work where the world is, round instead of flat. It's not going to come back to me because I've got armor and I know how to fight it off and everything. Tell us about the law of attraction in all of this as an essential pillar.
Yeah. So the law of attraction, I started to learn about law of attraction, and I think I was in the vast majority of people that believe that law of attraction is out there, and you're attracting positive and negative. You think about positive, you're going to get more of it. You think about negative, you get more of it. And I thought it was out there. The way they describe it, it is within your own energy field. You are your own law of attraction. I am my own law of attraction. What I think about comes to me. What you think about comes to you. But you are the driver or the influencer about what happens. Thoughts create things. But what are thoughts? Thoughts are things that you watch on TV. It's the words that you say, it's the music that you listen to, it's the books that you read, it's the phrases that you use, it's the world at large, it's billboards, it's advertising, it's everything, it's all around you. So what do? You have to learn how to focus on the phrases and the terms and the words and the conversations and the people and the situations that feel good to you. Because if it feels good to you, then that's where your personal law of attraction goes. I like to kind of give an analogy. It's like you have magnets all over you. And your magnets have an on switch and an off switch. And some of them are on for positivity and some are on for negativity. So your thoughts, switch them all on. Which ones do you want on? Positive. You want positive on. But it's positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. So you get some of both because our minds flip-flop back and forth. But when you do it on purpose, and they use that term, on purpose, and I like it, when you, on purpose, you're about to say something, and you say, no, I can say that better. And you choose to, well, you're keeping those attractors, the magnets, it's not a magnet, but the attractors of positivity, you're keeping it going on purpose. What are you doing? You're teaching the subconscious mind is what you're doing. Teaching the subconscious mind to draw experiences to you that you enjoy, or that are fun, or that are exciting, or that are, invoke curiosity, or that invoke health and healing, that invoke positive friendships, a bank account that you enjoy. It's all about, you create your reality. You create your reality by the way that you engage with the world. But part of engaging with the world is how you engage with yourself.
What about we seem to be living in a society where people are very engaged with what everybody else is doing, what society is doing, what society is saying, the messages that society is delivering. We see that in politics, we see that in a lot of other areas of life, where it's more about what other people are doing and other people are saying versus what I truly believe, what I feel. And sometimes we surround ourselves with images and messaging that only enhances or reflects what we want to hear and what we want to see and say, but we're not necessarily getting the full scope of what the world is all about, and that there are other thoughts and ideas and belief systems, and that could be a beautiful thing to learn about those. Does the collective express some of that? Is the collective allowing one to appreciate the beauty that's all around us, or does it guide us to just reinforce what we want to know and what we want to think, and we're not open to anything else?
That's a good question. They guide us in general when they're having a one-on-one conversation or a small group conversation. They get very personalized and they bring out structured guidance. If you're trying to manifest something, they tell you the why and the why not, what you're currently manifesting, where your current thought process is, and what you are gravitating towards you, what you're drawing towards you, and then how to get it faster or how to move away from it and get something totally different, the thing that you're really wanting. When they have big conversations, broad conversations, and they're talking to a lot of people, they do talk in general terms to reach the masses, because everybody needs a little bit different kind of specificity. But they always know what's going on.
Yeah.
The examples that they use a lot of props sometimes in live events. They use storytelling to get the point across, which I think is great. Everybody understands when you can visualize and picture how things work, then it always aids the understanding. They're always looking at what's the common denominator. Well, the common denominator is we, meaning them, we want people to understand how to be influenced in a positive way. And that's on anything and everything. How do you wake up in the morning and start your day excellent? Well, you could turn around and you could make your bed. But if making your bed makes you feel guilty because you remember getting yelled at for not having your bed made, well, you're not starting your day off with positive draw. You're starting it off with guilt, and guilt is negative draw. So you're flipping the switch on all those negative magnets. Right. So, but if you like your bed made, and when you walk into your room or you come out of your bathroom or out of the shower and you see your bed made and you just go, I love my bed made. It's just, even if you don't say the words, if everything about you says, my room looks good, then yes, by all means, make your bed. But, if you make your bed and you feel guilty, then deal with the guilt so that you don't have guilt. And then make your bed or not make your bed. It's not about making the bed. It's about how do you wake up? What is the first emotional vibration? What is the first emotion that becomes you in that moment? And how long are you going to stay there?
Yeah.
So if it's a negative emotion, get off the subject. Find something to distract yourself with. And if it's a positive emotion, then run with it. Stay there. Gravitate towards something else. Love on it. Go to something else. Love on it. Go to something else. Love on it. And stay there for as long as you can. Because when you do, then those positive magnets are drawing to you, drawing to you, drawing to you. So you're going to have better conversations. You're going to have a happier day. You're going to have, a hot cup of coffee instead of a lukewarm one. You're going to have,
more clarity.
More clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More clarity.
An easier way of getting where you want to go from point A to point B. And whether that's directionally or conversationally, it both starts with where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Where's your starting point? How are you going to get there? Forecast yourself already having a great day in the morning, and then you're more likely to have a great day.
Do you find also the collective, we're talking about clarity, can really help with clarity in one's life? Because we're in a very fast-paced world now, technologically dependent and driven. And decisions are made fast, and there is instant gratification, and everything is ramped up, and it's more about a forward movement. What's next, and not everybody is designed to just live in the next. They want to appreciate and savor what just occurred now. So if they've accomplished something, they've experienced something, they want to extend that feeling a little bit and revel in and relish what they've just experienced, and take time to have a cup of coffee and think about it and sort of process. And we don't seem to be in a time where processing is even considered something that you have time to do or that you should be doing. You've got to be going on and conquering that mountain and going to next. For me personally, I love processing. I love experiencing events in life, the good, the bad, the indifferent, and processing and trying to figure it out and deducing it and sort of reliving elements of it and assessing it and feeling it. But again, we're not always in that way of thinking these days. So does the collective come in to also remind us that it isn't just about the bucket list, check, 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 and keep refilling that bucket list, that we also have to take time to breathe and, relish in and savor the things that life is bringing our way?
Yes and no. The way that they would describe it, the way that they have described it in a number of different conversations is, you get what you think about, in general. So if you want to get things done quickly, and you really have some goals, and those goals are, with time frames, that you really want to meet those time frames, then sitting back and leisurely enjoying your Saturday is good. But if you do it every day, then you have a mindset of saying, I enjoy slow. So then watch how those things that you want to manifest, they just drift further and further away from you. So it's appreciating, and then, how do I appreciate the moment and keep my eyes on what I want to manifest? How do I bring things to me and stay joyful, peaceful, positive, with reinforcement, positive reinforcement? But positive reinforcement can be a hard thing for some people, because go, go, go has been their way of life. And when you tell somebody who's been driven that they need to slow down in order to, take things nice and slow, take it easy, enjoy where life is taking you, and they're a very driven person, well, the advice might not be right for them. And private sessions, that comes out all the time. And they talk about birth intentions or your soul plan, that's what some people call it. I just say purpose or purposes. And if you are meant to be someone that gets things done, that is out in public eye, that is a mover and a shaker, well then you're going to be someone who is driven, and you're not going to look at the fine details, and that's okay. But if you're someone who isn't built in or wired to be that driven person, then you might try to influence someone in the wrong direction. And then they slow down and then things go awry. So I just say, I keep my opinions out of the picture, and I love hearing how they guide people individually. And they talk about this,
The collective,
what
yeah.
you see when you look around, even your family, your friends, the nation, the world, whatever the body of people are that you're looking at. When you look at them, what are you looking at? Are you looking at what somebody is accomplishing? Are you appreciating how they're doing it? Are you liking their attitude along the way? What are you looking at? And then compare that to where you want to go. Is that the right person to emulate?
Right.
Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But we don't really know. And that's where Jeshua comes in, and they say, but we do know. We know because we have conversations with the higher selves and the guides of anybody that we have direct conversations with. We're having conversations with them. And then we identify what is the right guidance for that person versus this person. So there's general information. There's a lot of law of attraction information out there, and it's all good. But when you get all the way down to one-on-one conversations with people, they tweak it and they adjust it. Use this kind of phrase because this phrase is going to bring you the thing you don't want. Use this phrase instead. This word is too overused in your vocabulary and it's not drawing you the right thing. Change it up. Use words like this. Use more, and it varies person to person. They are very exquisite and articulate. They love bringing visualization into the conversation. They love storytelling. They love helping people get where they want to go. And they're just love. I like to say they're love beings. They're just love. Their intelligence and their conversations are not superficial. They're detailed.
Yeah.
They are the best conversationalists, the best therapists that you could imagine having a sit-down conversation with. It's a good time.
Do they ever not appear? Are you ever in a scenario or a situation where you're with somebody or with a group where the collective just at that moment or that day, they're not making themselves known?
Never.
So they always find a way to
Yeah.
facilitate everything through you.
Yep.
That's fascinating, huh?
Yeah. They're always there. Always there. Always there. Always there.
Do they express opinion? Do they, that's right, that's wrong? Is there any of that? Are they neutral?
Well, they're definitely not neutral. I would say they guide you to where you are wanting to go. They don't have an opinion, meaning this is bad
Right.
and this is good.
Right.
This half of the conversation is wrong, this half is right, so we're going to support this side.
Right.
They don't do that. They talk about where your thought processes are. They say this is a world, this is an experience that we're having in this physical place, and we're here, and we have thought, and we have imagery, and we have emotions, and we have vocabulary, and we have life experience, and we have other people to have life experience with. And then we also have free will to decide what we want to do and how we want to do it. And they guide us, when you allow them to, they guide you how to do it better, faster, easier. So opinionated, no, but they do see all things, past, present, and future. So do they definitely have opinions? If you want to get from point A to point B, but you're way over in left field, they do have an opinion.
Yeah.
They call it our knowing. They say it's our knowing of how to get back on track or how to speed it up and get more of it, how to do something different than what was forecasted for you, what everybody around you had an idea of what you were going to become and what you were capable of. And if you want to do more or something different, they have a plan for it.
What about those who say, we talk about free will, those who say, well, fate decides. It's already written. No matter what you're doing, you might be able to tweak some of it, but the outcome has already been decided the minute you were born to everything you see, everything you experience. What about those who are very fate-driven?
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of question I like for them to answer. But I'll tell you what they have taught and what they've taught me is there are some things that are built in. They don't use the word fate or destiny, but they say built in. There are personality traits that we build in. There are some past life things that we build in. They liken it to a vision board, New Year's Eve is coming, you do your vision board for the new year, and you got all these things that you want to create or manifest or do. They say your higher self, parent soul being, has a vision board for your life. There are things that they built in, and then there's things that they're hoping that you gravitate towards. And if you do, then those things will become easy. And if you don't, you'll always feel drawn either to that thing or situation or person, or you won't feel completely satisfied with where you are. And sometimes you need to be a little dissatisfied to start getting curious, to research or look into or experience different things, and then you find something that really, really works for you. So something could work for you, and then you find something that really, really works for you. Well, how do you do that? Guided. So intuition guides people. They're here all the time. They are guiding us, whether we can hear them like I can and others like me can or not. Everybody's being guided. But we don't always listen. We don't always hear what they have to say. And you know, people know what I do, and even when they come through and give structured information and the reason why and the outcome this way or this way, people will still say, yeah, I don't think I want to do that though. You know, so we are opinionated, and we have a goal and set a time frame in mind, and they say, well, the way you're going at it, it's not going to manifest in this amount of time, but it might manifest in that amount of time. But what we see between, you know, the delta between those 2 points is we see frustration mounting. And when frustration mounts, well, then you start losing track of time. When you start losing track of time, then you start letting people down. And when you start letting people down, then other things come into play, and that distance, that delta, now gets pushed off, or the thing that you wanted to have moves out of your experience for that moment in time. So, you know, it comes all the way back to emotional balance. You have to really, you know, I like to say, you know, sometimes you got to go around the block to get next door. But if you're having a conversation with them, they're going to teach you how to go next door.
How has this work, as well as having the opportunity to have the collective speak through you, enhanced and enriched your life?
Oh, I feel happy. Synchronistic experiences happen all the time. I notice them. So they may have happened before, but now I notice them left and right. My parents are in the spirit world. Yeah. I have conversations with them every day. Conversations with them. Yeah. I've gone grocery shopping with my dad. I've never went grocery shopping with my dad, or not since I was a small child. I have relationship conversations with my mom. They're always with me. So I have abilities and I have experiences that are new and different. I have knowledge that I didn't have before, and I say knowledge in a way that's, you know, the idea of growing up in a household where religion was something we all believed in. You know, we said prayers before dinner, we went to church on Sunday, we did all the things that you would expect for a mainstream Christian family to do. And I always had different questions. You know, why did I always feel this way? Why did I feel that way? Why was I drawn to do this, you know, kind of thing? And I have those answers. And I also have conversation with other people that come in and they say, well, I was in a situation very similar, and this is what I learned from that experience. You know, I have a playlist on YouTube. It's called Fixing It. Robin Williams came in one day. I was driving, and Robin came into my mind. I could see a picture over and over and over again, and he just said, I'd like to have a conversation with you. And it was very fun and very playful, and he just said what he wanted to say was, he didn't go into what his whole life was about, but he said, what I want people to know is don't suffer. Yeah. Don't suffer. If you're having a bad day, let somebody know. Pick up the phone and talk to people. Right. But also know that there are people on the other side that are trying to help you. You got to have beliefs that help you on both ends. Some people become very spiritual and they don't want to go to the doctor. And Jeshua comes through and they will say, look, this is something that you can take care of. In the physical world, you have people that can help you. Do that. But also, do this, and they'll give them some sequences, or they'll give them some words of positivity. They'll give them some actionable things to do. Sometimes they say, look, you just need to talk out loud to people. You text a lot.
Right.
You're on the computer and emailing a lot. And what you're really feeling, what's going on with you, is that there's loss on the inside because you're no longer having out loud conversations with people. Watch how your life changes. Give it a week or two or a month, and just make it a point to go outside and talk out loud to people, call more often instead of email, and watch how you just feel happier and better, and it works every time.
There have been books written as well. I think there's some 11 books. Let's talk about the books, and there's another one coming out in the summer. Let's talk about that. That's fascinating.
So last year, 2021, was, I just say it's a year of book dictation. So it's book writing, but it's all on video. And what would happen is they would wake me up in the morning or tell me a day ahead of time that they have new material that they would like me to capture. And I'd sit in my office and I'd turn on the video camera, and they would take me in the, sometimes it's a little deeper. I say, you know, you go from level 10 to 9 or 8. Sometimes they take me down to like level 8. And I feel almost sleepy, not quite sleepy, but it's probably an easier word to just say. I just feel myself go deeper into that trance state. And then they just start talking. They identify the date, they give the book, they give the chapter, and at the end they say the chapter is incomplete or the chapter is complete so that I know. And then, so this year is a year of transcribing the videos. So what do they teach? Law of attraction, several books on how to manifest money, how to manifest relationships, how to manifest jobs and careers that you're fond of, how to heal the physical body, how to connect with your spirit guide. I like to say non-physical teachers. It just seems like an easier phrase for me. But you know, where do you begin? So there were 3 large books, and then a handful of what I call fun-sized books that are storytelling to get the point across, with the culminates in the lesson that they're wanting to get across. And they're very, very interesting, very easy to grasp, and I find them fascinating. So 2022 is a year of transcribing those books. The first one, Ocularity of the Mind, is coming out this summer, and then Mind-Body Connection, and then The Lost Art of Self-Healing, and then there's the array of the small fun-sized books that are coming out after
That's
that.
exciting, huh?
Yeah,
So
it's fun.
The books are incredible, and there's flowing through. What are some other ways that this work is facilitated? Live events, workshops? Let's talk about all of that. And that is now obviously coming back into play now that we're coming sort of out of, you know, the health situation that happened globally.
Isolation.
The isolation. Yeah. Tell us about some of the ways that this work through the collective is actually expressed.
They do what I like to call workshops. They call them teaching moments. And they come in 1, 2, and 3 day increments. So there's a 1-day workshop on how to heal the body, a 2-day workshop on Powerfulness of Source Energy. They have titled everything, and they've identified what will be taught and how the daily activities will go. And then a 3-day intensive. And the intensive is all about, it's chakra attunements for those that have some background in energy work. It's 3 days of removing energy blocks from the body so that you manifest something that you're looking for. People have been claustrophobic and then not at the end of the 3 days. They've had very low self-esteem and then not at the end of the 3 days. It's an enormously beautiful weekend. I channel a guidebook, and it is the guide or the higher self of each individual. They get their own video, and it is conveyance of information about what their purpose is, why they're here, what was done during the weekend, how it was done, what changes they can expect, what things that they should incorporate so that it takes hold and then that thing, you know, settles in and becomes part of their personality and their life experience. So that's one of my favorites. I have one of those in Sedona and Pittsburgh, and then also Australia this year.
Is this part of the On Purpose tour?
Yeah, yeah. So the workshops are the 1, 2, and 3 day events that are all part of that tour. The 2-day, the Powerfulness of Source Energy workshops, it's an introduction to the 4 pillars, to the essential material. So there's a half-day segment on each one of those pillars, and they teach, and then they just field questions. So it's a really fun time. There's an enormous amount of information that comes through. No event is identical to the last one. I've had people come to several of them, and there's always something different to be gained, different questions, and different questions invoke or draw different answers, depth of answers. So it's interesting for me because I get to hear it all every time.
You get to hear it, right.
Yeah, it's fun.
What's an example maybe of, for somebody that you've worked with, an individual you've worked with, where the exposure to Carol, but as well, of course, the collective has really enhanced their life, has enriched their life, has given them a different perspective? Do you have maybe a case study or example of some of the benefits of this work for the folks that you've had an opportunity to work with, or the collective has?
I have a lot. Physical problems that have diminished or resolved, mental, emotional issues, trauma, being afraid of the dark, depression, schizophrenia, is something that people believe is real. And they talk to people who are having mental and emotional traumatic experiences in life. And they talk to their families and how to blend what is happening with a person with being able to take care of them. World War II survivors, they do have the intention of bringing together World War II survivors and helping them to heal from the suffering that they endured, and also living a life of still being here, because there's so many that are still suffering from that. Being a survivor, well, that generally comes with a positive connotation, but it also comes with a tremendous amount of guilt, for many. So there's the desire to do more of that. I have people that are in my intuitive development classes, they call them unfoldment into channeling, who had severe depression when they started because parents had moved into spirit, and have reduced or removed the need for consistency in prescription drugs that they've taken.
Right.
I have people that have changed their eating habits and have lost a tremendous amount of weight, based on guiding them into what kind of foods to eat to work with their belief system. So it's not all about less calories, less carbs. It's what do you believe? What are your personal unconscious beliefs? Work with them, change them, resolve the issue. So behavioral, physical manifestations of pain, of swelling, reduced by removing blocks that are usually around the right side of the abdomen or the side, and removing stress on the IT band, helping people to balance out how they walk so that they can run easier with less injury. We do that. They're nutrition experts, they're physical experts, they're emotional experts. It's as well as communicating with them experts. I like to say, who better to teach you how to communicate with the spirit realm than the teachers of it?
Yeah.
And they guide you and they talk to you and they validate what you're receiving, and they challenge you to receive more, and they guide you in ways to do your practice sessions. And I've had amazing experiences with people that are just quick now to hear from their parents, their loved ones, their guides, and they're getting validation from other people. And it all starts with meditation. Everything starts with meditation.
Meditation. What if you're somebody who has trouble meditating? They're always thinking, there always thoughts running through their mind, and it's hard for them to calm and to just be.
Yeah. The advice is varied, but generally it's that they're probably trying to meditate for too long. So there's two camps that they teach with meditation. There's the camp of emotional balance, just trying to create more peace within. That's one, and you can do that so many different ways. The whole meditative community has so many great examples of what you can do, what you can listen to, how you can relax the mind and go into that relaxed state to receive the benefits of it. And then there's meditation to communicate with the spirit realm, with the non-physical dimension. And that kind of meditation is far different than emotional balance meditation. So it depends on what you're trying to do. But they say always start with short increments of silent meditation or a very small rhythmic sound, and then go from there. So count your breaths, relax, but give yourself an amount of time that you can do. And if it's 1 minute, it's 1 minute.
And it's 1 minute, yeah.
And 1 minute is better than no minutes.
Right.
And then 2 minutes will become easier than 3 minutes. So then go to 2 minutes. So if you're trying to sit down and do a 40-minute meditation exercise, but you've never done it before, well, you might enjoy the experience, but you might not have quieted the mind. So just stay with it, stay with it. But there's also help. So I always say, when you sit down to meditate, ask your guide for help. Help to quiet my mind. We're not meant to live this life alone. So even in those small things, how do I? Well, I say the first question, the first asking is, it's more of a telling. I like to just say, tell your guide to help you.
Right.
If you're having a lot of trouble getting your mind to stop thinking, well, that's a good segue to Jeshua. I think they have something to say. We do. So many times people come in and they say, I don't meditate, I don't meditate, I don't meditate. Jeshua, to speak now. We have all the time in the world to teach the world how to meditate, and we like what the world is doing with it. But one thing that they're not doing is they're not doing it right. And what is right, person by person by person? So we say 3 minutes at a time is what the whole world could do, because 3 minutes advances to 4, then advances to 5. Now, we never want anybody to meditate more than 10 or 15 minutes, because in that amount of time, the mind, the subconscious aspect of the mind, gets what they need to get. It's a lesson of the day, and that's the way we like to say it. Day after day after day, the mind will hold on to and grasp and read that message, absorb that message, and in 24 hours, it dissolves and it goes into the memory banks of the human person. So when you sit and meditate for that amount of time, day over day over day over day, then that lesson gets invigorated and becomes who you are. Otherwise, it just sits in the memory banks or on the back burner. 15 minutes is all people need to do. If you want to have a nice experience of relaxation, then there's many different techniques that you can do. But every once in a while, we like to bring people all the way back down to the true teaching of what meditation is. It's connecting with your guide so that you can be guided. It's connecting with your guide so you can be guided. Now, when you sit and you meditate for an hour or 2 or 3, and then you have some wonderful mind-blowing experience where you see all kinds of visions and you feel movement, or you feel all kinds of sensations, we say that's good, but you're not capitalizing on the moment. To capitalize on the moment, you need to shrink it down into very small increments, because if you're having those experiences, then you have the ability to connect with the spirit realm, relatives, guides, whoever it is that you're interested in talking to. If you have those longer experiences, the mind will never learn how to translate and interpret conversation that comes from the realm where we are speaking from. But if you do it in these small increments, then you will. And then over time, accuracy will come. Why accuracy? Well, because we could say, and we like to use this conversation a lot, and so we do couch the phrase, we thank you for the woman who is pink. But we say, we ask the mind, would you produce pink? Because it's a practice session that we do in meditation. Try this, try this, try this. Do a physical sensation, do a image, do a picture in the mind, show movement in the mind, show color in the mind, produce a voice in the mind, produce 2 voices in the mind, and we see what the mind is capable of. When a human being does long bouts of meditation, they experience a small portion of what their own specific mind is capable of. When they shrink it all the way down to very small increments of silent meditation, then their mind can be taught. And we're talking about the aspect of a subconscious mind. And everybody has it, and everybody has that aspect that can communicate and learn from the spirit realm. Why do we teach that? Well, because people are not being guided. They're being influenced by the world. Emotions is just one thing, but it's influence of the world, and people are far off of their given path. And we do say given path because everybody has identified that they wanted to become a person before they became one. And here you are, you're all people. Why are you here? Well, because some aspect of you decided to become a human being in this place that you call the world. And because you're here, there are some things that are built in, and many people are not getting those things accomplished. It's okay if you don't get them accomplished, but we always want you to have a better day along the way, because we want you to have a better day and we want you to manifest the things that you're wanting. But there are some things that that aspect of you that is still in the non-physical plane, there are things that they would like you to do as well. And all of them are good for your development as a person, for where you want to go as a person. They support and encourage and love you along the way. So it's not opposite of what you're wanting to manifest. You want to be a an astronomer and they want you to be a librarian. It's not like that at all. It's, you might think that you can do something regionally, and we know that you can do it globally. Or you really, really want to do it globally, and we say, yes, but you need to do it regionally first, and build up the confidence, and then confidence, and then confidence, and then. But if you can't hear us, then you feel driven. Then you're going by motivation, or you're going by pressure, society pressure, world pressure, internal pressure. And internal pressure creates problems. And then you have the physical body to deal with, or mannerisms, behaviors that are something that your life and your body has to deal with. When you are guided, we teach you how to remove energy blocks, how to connect with us so that you can have conversation with us, how to believe that we're real, how to use the power of positivity and combine the elements of the essential material so that you have a more pleasing life experience. We are Seth to speak. We teach all of this, and we taught it a long time ago, but we've taught it for generations, and we've taught it for millennia. Now, we also have many other beings that are here. I just step in because I like to. Not because I want to dominate the conversation, but I've been identified as the one to bring this conversation forward. So, now we're in the room. I do close Carol's eyes at this moment because it's an easier way to bring the energies through and speak out loud. We don't always. And when she's in a large group of people, she has her eyes wide open, and she's standing, and we're moving about, and we're answering questions, and we're going in and out among people. If they're on tables, then we move around the tables, but generally they're sitting at tables. We are funny beings. We do joke. We do laugh. We do have a good time. It's not all intellectual material that comes through, although it's always on purpose. Everything that we do is on purpose. And we like on purpose as the year that we're in and moving into next year. We like that Carol's identified tour because in her, a tour sounds fun, the on-purpose tour. We said we like it. And that means we have to schedule things out. So what have we scheduled? Powerfulness of Source Energy workshops that we have identified as the introductory information to what we teach for the Center of Intuitive Studies. Now, why is it a center? Well, because we teach, and we have outreach programs, and then we have a healing center. We don't just teach people that healing the physical body is possible, we do it. And that's what the 3-day intensive is all about. We heal the body from energy blocks that stop you from manifesting the life that you are wanting. Healthy lifestyle starts with a healthy second body. If you understand that there are 2 parts to your physical experience here, what you can see is part 1. The part that you can't see is part 2, and they're both very real. And we teach you that part 2 gets just as dirty as part 1. You hop in the shower and you get all nice and clean. But part 2, the energy body, it needs balancing and alignment and attunements because it too gets dirty. And when it gets dirty, your life changes, alters in ways that you don't want. You hesitate. You have problems remembering things, indecision, anger, depression, sadness. You find things one day, but you can't recreate the experience. You don't know who to talk to. You don't know where to go. That's stress. That's internal stress. That internal stress can manifest as anything and everything. Anything from hair falling out, age spots. The way you cross your legs is meaningful. The way you stand is meaningful. The way you express yourself is meaningful, but it's meaningful to your own second body, that energy body that you have. It is yours and it's yours alone. And if it's clean, well, it's like turning on those positive magnets and you draw positive experiences to you. And if it's dirty, well, then you get a lot more of both, and we want more positive than negative. In this world, you will have some of both. It is impossible to have a purely clean second body, but we teach you how to take a spiritual bath, if you like the term. We do. It's just a fun way to phrase it. We are Jeshua to speak now. What questions do you have of us? We've loved the conversation. We've aided the conversation in many ways. Carol's aware of energies flowing now and always. What do you want to know?
I think it's really fascinating that we have this ability to be so in tune with the collective in this way. And I think it's fascinating what we're learning together in this journey and this conversation. When you talk about the law of attraction, again, we talked to Carol earlier about that from her perspective as far as, you know, that we attract the things that oftentimes we want, whether it's positive or negative. How important is it for us to really be in tune with the power of the law of attraction?
Well, it's an interesting question. James, to speak. You're always in tune with law of attraction because it is that second body. We want you to be in tune with the positive aspects of the world. We want you to be in tune with positive distractions. Make it up if you have to. Find the better thought, better situation, better conversation. And if none of the conversation is good, find a word that is pleasing to you and then think about that word. And if none of the conversation is pleasing to you, then walk away without feeling shame or guilt. And if you can't do it without feeling shame or guilt, then learn how to distract yourself. Or learn how to project having a better conversation. We call it paving. To pre-pave means you have an idea of what you want. That's your pre-idea, the pre-scenario, the pre-experience. And what do? When you're on that bumpy road, you're jostled left and right, up and down. It's an uncomfortable, awkward situation. The ride is not smooth. To get from point A to point B on a bumpy road is less comfortable than if you're on a clean, smooth surface. Everyone loves cleanly paved roads. You appreciate them. Why? Because most roads have some bumps in them. Not just potholes, but bumps. And you can feel the difference. You can feel the difference being on a cleanly paved road. That's why we say paved. It's paved. How do you pave it? Think the better thought. Express yourself in a more positive way. Allow positivity to guide you. Not the emotions of the world, not influence, because influence doesn't feel good. But being guided does. Project where you want to be and how you want to feel when you get there. And then tell yourself that you already have it, because then you'll be on that paved road, but you'll also get to point B, and then you'll want to go to the next point B, and the next, and the next, and the next. Everything is important in this life because you do gain something from it on the spirit side. But to have what you want to have in this life experience, to capture attention in a positive way, to create abundance in your life. And abundance can be anything. Abundance of friends, abundance of love, abundance of joy, abundance of money, abundance of customers, an abundance of time, an abundance of leisure moments, an abundance of free thinking time, an abundance of choice, an abundance to purchase those things that you are wanting to choose. That's abundance. It's life of freedom is what it is. How do you live a life of having what you want to have in the moment that you want it? Clean your second body. How do you clean it? It's energy work. But energy work is not just sitting with a energy worker, someone that is tuned into how to see energy, how to feel the energy flowing, and has conversations with us so we can guide them what to do and how to do it, or to do it in a session where we simply flow a frequency of healing and we can fix a physical ailment quickly. Depending on what it is, one session is sometimes enough. A series of sessions is sometimes needed because people have deep down buried aspects of who they are. We teach, and we teach, and we teach, and we teach. We guide people. We talk to them mainly about thoughts create things, so I like to say it this way. What you think about, you get. What you love upon, you get faster. And if you love upon that bad moment, how do you love on it? You think about it. You might as well be loving on it because you're spending an awful lot of time with it. That moment will crop back up or something like it. But not just the scenario. It's other situations that bring that emotional frame back into your life experience. Fear. Well, how many things can you identify that you might potentially have an opportunity to be afraid of? The possibilities are limitless. So what do you want to do? Tell yourself that you're never afraid. You're always having a great day. You're always having great conversations. Always, always, always. Always, always, always. And stay off the subject of things that are anything less than. I always have wonderful mornings, afternoons, evenings. When you do that day after day, your days will improve faster than somebody's who's not doing that. You will see a remarkable, marked difference in what you are experiencing. Abundance comes in so many flavors. How many flavors do you want? Well, most people want 2 or 3 flavors because they have their eyes and their goals set on something. Pinpointed accuracy. Well, how do you get accurate? Clean up the energy body. How do you do that? Thoughts. Thought energy plus emotional energy, when they combine, they take you somewhere. Where do you want to go? We say on purpose is the best way to describe it, people, because you have thoughts, you have ideas, you have things that you want to do. When you combine it with the right element, which is positivity, then you go in the direction of getting that thing that you were hoping to receive, hoping to experience. It's not always easy because the mind, the subconscious mind, gravitates towards wherever you have been influenced. Wherever you have been influenced, and you do not remember every second, moment, hour, day, month, year that you have ever experienced, but the internal aspect of you does. And so it crops up when you least expect it. And then you have doubt. How do you get rid of doubt? Energy work. Energy work. That's pillar 3. But energy work can also be power of positivity using language. That's pillar 2. But doubt can also be understanding that you do have a spiritual teacher. The world says guide. We like the term because we do guide you. But we are real. Your loved ones, they are in this place that we are in. There is an afterlife. There is an afterlife. And that's pillar 1. When you understand that fully, then you want guidance from the beings that know past, present, and future. And then pillar 4, well, that's just for those that are wanting some validation that they have a verbal connection. And for those people, we do want to teach them because we teach them in a specific way to bring out clean, clear accuracy in their conveyance of information from us. So what do we want the world to know? That we're here, that we're real, that we love you, that we only have the capacity to love, but we can guide you in magnificent ways. We have so many examples to give you that can provide imagery, that can make a conversation come alive. Aspects of each individual person are altered in channeled conversations because there is a healing frequency that comes through. It's one of the benefits of teaching yourself or learning how to or stepping into an ability that you built in like Carol did. Because we do add a healing tone that the body feels to help clean up the second body. So there's so many different ways of self-healing. We teach you some of them. And we teach you how to connect with us. And we want you to have guidance because there's so much that we have to teach you. We want you to have not a good day, we want you to have the best day, but we want tomorrow's best day to be even better than this best day. So it's better day, better day, better day, better day that leads you to just looking back and saying, I really enjoyed my life. I really enjoyed my life. It's not living with no regret because there will always be some disappointment in life. But it's that those moments are so small and so few that the paved road, well, that just becomes the small debris on the sidelines. It's part of life experience. But what you want is a paved road. So pave it with thoughts and the right emotion and ideas and conversations with us. We've enjoyed this conversation. We are Jeshua to speak. Do you have anything else you want to talk to us about?
I think that you have provided incredible enrichment and empowerment and inspiration and abundance in this conversation as the collective, sharing with us and initially with Carol. And I just been very moved by this, and I think our viewers watching this now and probably rewatching this multiple times to get different nuggets and essences from this conversation will be continually enriched. I really appreciate your coming to the television studio and spending all this time and being so authentic and real and open and inspiring as the collective through Carol. And I think the fact that Carol was chosen in the way that she has and gifted with these abilities to be this conduit for the collective is extraordinary for the collective, for Carol, and for all of us who get a chance to be inspired and experience this. So I thank you for all of this incredible inspiration and this abundant conversation that we've had today.
We've appreciated it as well. That is all. Thank you so much. So
That was
fun.
amazing, huh?
That was fun.
That was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So welcome to my world.
Welcome to your world.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's incredible. And you know what I see in your eyes now? Joy.
Yeah.
Your eyes are like, they were lit before and abundant before with energy and passion, but the smile and the depth of what you've just experienced that we've witnessed here on this broadcast is incredible.
I feel the energy moving
like you
inside
can see
me,
it. You're
and
right.
it's just it's a feeling of flowing. It's this flowing that
As
it's hard
the
to describe,
collective
but
comes through Carol.
it always feels good.
This
But
is
I also know
incredible.
that they're doing things when they do that. It's always a healing moment.
Right.
It's fun for me.
And your hands are warm too.
Are
You
they?
can and
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
sure they're tingling because I know I'm getting some tingling too.
Good.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah, it's fun.
Thank you for coming. This was really amazing.
You're welcome.
And continued
Anytime.
success with everything. Folks want to learn more, then go online, all the usual places, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
They can.
Continued success.
Thank you. Thank you for having all of us.
Absolutely. Our pleasure.
Okay.
If you'd like to learn more, visit this website. For Close-Up Television and Radio, I'm Jim Masters. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.